So I loved doing taekwondo and was once a national champion. But a lot has changed since then. I went off to medical school, became a physician. I had a son and then a daughter. And I developed a chronic disease for which there is no cure. In 2000, when I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, I turned to the best MS center I could find, the Cleveland Clinic. I saw the very best doctors receive the best care possible, taking the latest, newest drugs. Still, by 2003, my disease had transitioned to secondary progressive MS. I took the recommended chemotherapy. I got the tilt-recline wheelchair. I had one with a motor I could drive around. My disease had transitioned. I was afraid that I was going to become bedridden. I turned to reading the latest research using PubMed.gov. I knew that brains afflicted with MS over time shrank. I therefore went to every night reading the latest medical research about the diseases in which brains shrink. These diseases were Huntington's, Parkinson's, and Alzheimer's. I saw that in all three conditions, the mitochondria do not work well, leading to shrinking brains. With more searching, I found studies in which mouse brains and their mitochondria had been protected using fish oil, creatine, and coenzyme Q. I translated those mouse-sized doses into human-sized ones and began my first round of self-experimentation. The rapidity of my decline slowed, and I was very grateful, but I was still declining. We have 1 billion cells in our brains with 10 trillion connections. All of that connective wiring must be insulated with something called myelin, and multiple sclerosis damages myelin. In order to make healthy, robust myelin, your brain needs a lot of B vitamins, in particular vitamin B1, which is thiamine, B9, which is folate, B12, which is cobalamin. It also needs omega-3 fatty acids and iodine. This is a synapse. Those beautiful golden drops are the neurotransmitters. For your brain to make neurotransmitters, it needs a lot of sulfur and vitamin B6, which is pyridoxine. These are mitochondria. They're so beautiful, and they're so critical to your lives because it is the tiny mitochondria in each of our cells that will manage the energy supply for that cell. Without your mitochondria, you would be no larger than bacteria. In medical school, I had to memorize countless reactions involving my mitochondria, but I never learned which compounds my cells could manufacture and which I needed to consume in order for those reactions to happen properly. I now know that I need a lot of B vitamins, sulfur, and antioxidants for my mitochondria to thrive. And so I added B vitamins, sulfur, and antioxidants to my daily regimen. And then it occurred to me that I should get my long list of nutrients from food. That if I did that, I would probably get hundreds, maybe thousands of other compounds that science had yet to name and identify, but would be helpful to my brain and my mitochondria. This slide is from work done by Professor Lauren Cordain. He is showing the percent of Americans whose daily intake is below the recommended daily allowance for a variety of important nutrients. On the bottom half of the slide you'll see that less than half of us take in enough B vitamins, vitamin C, and vitamin A. Now, if you look at the top half of the slide, you'll see that 2/3 of us do not take in enough calcium, magnesium, zinc, or iodine, and that 80% do not take in enough omega-3 fats. You are all starving yourselves. We are alive because of complicated chemical reactions. If you're not providing the building blocks, that is the vitamins, minerals, essential fats, those reactions cannot happen properly, leading to the wrong structures being made or structures simply not being made at all. You set the stage for chronic disease. This is why our children are born with jaws that are too small, leading to crooked teeth and smaller brains. This is why your blood vessels become stiff as you age. This is why if you go to our schools, every year we have more and more children with severe learning problems and severe behavior problems. But it does not have to be this way. For 2.5 million years, humans ate what we could gather and hunt. They're called foragers, also known as hunter-gatherers. That hunter-gatherer diet, that paleo diet, consists of leaves, roots, berries, meat, and fish. It's locally obtained, fresh, in season, and of course, organic. The Inuits in the far north ate very differently than the Africans on the savannah. And yet, when scientists have analyzed these hunter-gatherer diets, they exceed the recommended daily allowance 2 to 10-fold, depending on the nutrient. These ancient peoples know more about eating for optimal health and vitality than we physicians and we scientists. I therefore started with a hunter-gatherer diet. I used those concepts, but I structured it to be sure I was getting the nutrition, the vitamins, minerals, nutrients that I identified as critical to my brain cells and my mitochondria. That diet is this: 3 cups of green leaves, 3 cups of sulfur-rich vegetables, 3 cups of bright color, grass-fed meat, organ meat, and seaweed. Having a plate full of daily greens will dramatically lower your risk of cataracts and macular degeneration, a leading cause of blindness in the U.S. Our ancient societies all valued organ meats. And organ meats are concentrated sources of vitamins, minerals, and coenzyme Q. They are particularly potent at supporting your mitochondria. Therefore, have organ meats like liver and onion once a week. By November of 2007, I could not sit in a chair like you are now. I had to be reclined in a zero-gravity chair like this, at home or at work or in bed. I could walk short distances using 2 canes. I was losing my keys, my phones. I was having nightmares that my chief of staff had pulled my clinical privileges. That is when I designed a diet specifically for my brain cells and my mitochondria. That's when I became a modern-day hunter-gatherer. 3 months later, I could walk between exam rooms using 1 cane. The month after that, I could walk throughout the hospital without a cane. At 5 months, I got on my bike for the first time in a decade, and I pedaled around the block. 9 months into my new way of eating, I pedaled 18 miles. The following year, I did a trail ride in the Canadian Rockies. We have a choice. We can continue to eat that delicious, convenient, tasty, processed food and watch ourselves and our children grow steadily more overweight, depressed, and diabetic. We can continue to watch healthcare costs balloon out of control, bankrupting us individually and collectively as a country. Or we can eat for our mitochondria, eating vegetables and berries, grass-fed meat, organ meat, and seaweed, and have more vitality. For if I can rise up from a tilt-recline wheelchair doing this, imagine what eating for your mitochondria can do for you, your family, your country, your community, your world. We have a choice. What will yours be? Thank you.